And welcome, Jets fans. This is Rich Sports Talk. I'm your host, Nolan Rich, and I am so excited for the 2021 season to get underway. So much to get into, but let's get it off right away. This will be my preview for the Jets 2021 season. I'll do a brief summary after I go through all the games. I'm going to go through weeks 1 through 18 and give you what I believe will happen this year. Of course, this is before injuries. This is just a little bit of fun, but I look at the matchups that the Jets face this year, and I do think you're going to be surprised at where I have the Jets ending up. Week 1 versus Carolina, I have the Jets winning this game. And a lot of people are saying, well, wait a minute. Carolina is more talented. They have more weapons, and this is Zach Wilson's first game. Doesn't he have all the pressure? I do think Wilson will have pressure, but to me, the pressure's on Sam Darnold. Think about it. This whole offseason, you haven't had a lot of great things coming out of Panthers camp. You've even heard that they're still in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. So for me, Darnold has more pressure on this game. I think he's going to try to really make a statement and try to force a couple passes. And I can see the Jets forcing a turnover or two on Darnold. That's been his MO. Here's the other thing. The Jets can run the football. They have a stable of backs, and they have a good run-blocking offensive line. I could see them getting ahead, playing the time possession. And look, I know a lot of people are high on the Panthers because Christian McCaffrey's back, and I know that the Jets don't have great corners to match up with these wide receivers, but here is why I give the Jets the edge. It's all about the trenches. The Panthers D-line ranked right in the middle of Pro Football Focus. They have a good pass rush, but I do think the Jets can run the ball. But more importantly, coming into the season, the Panthers had the lowest rated offensive line of any team via PFF. They have 3 below average starters. Even with the loss of Lawson, I still think the Jets are going to get a great pass rush in this game. They can get after Sam Darnold and force him to make a couple mistakes. Close game, but the Jets pull off an upset here in week 1. Week 2 versus New England, I have a loss. Look, Bill Belichick is great against young quarterbacks. There's no question. This will be a ugly, low-scoring game. I have this game within 1 score. I actually think Zach Wilson outplays Mac Jones this game, but the problem is the Patriots have the better defense. They have the better special teams. I expect the special teams to make a big play in this game for the Patriots and the defense. It'll be ugly. It'll be close, but New England pulls out a win in the Jets home opener. Week 3 in Denver, I have the Jets winning in an upset here. Look, I know the Broncos have one of the best records in September because they play at home, because of Mile High. I get all that, but here's the thing I see. They play the Giants and the Jags in the first 2 weeks. I could easily see Denver being 2-0 coming in this game. See them riding high, feeling themselves a bit, and overlooking the Jets because they were a bad team last year. And look, I love their playmakers. Do I worry about them matching up with the Jets corners? Yes, but they're also facing Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater is not going to kill this team over the top. He's not going to kill the Jets down the field. He's not going to make the big play that kills them. And the Broncos only have an okay offensive line, and I do think the Jets' offensive line is good enough to slow down this Denver pass rush. I think that Zach Wilson makes a couple big plays in this game, and the Jets get another big win on the road here in Week 3. Week 4 in Tennessee at home, I have them losing in this game. Look, Tennessee's in a different weight class right now. They're likely going to be a playoff team competing for the AFC South title. They have one of the best running games. They have a good offensive line, a good defensive line. This is just a big mismatch against a good playoff team. And I see the Jets falling to 2-2. Week 5 in London, I have them losing against Atlanta. And I give the edge to Atlanta because of this. They have the best quarterback the Jets have played at this point. They have playmakers that can challenge those corners. But more importantly, this is a more veteran offensive team. The Jets are one of the youngest teams in the NFL, and they're all going to London. And this is a tough game because your clock is off. You're playing at a weird time. It's a long trip. I just think that inexperience among the coaching staff and among the players is going to hurt the Jets. I see them coming out sluggish in this game. And Atlanta, despite all their flaws and that they're rebuilding, they still have a lot of offensive firepower, and that doesn't match up well with this Jets defense. Coming off the bye in Week 7, I have the Jets beating the Patriots. Now, a lot of people are saying, wait a minute. Why do you see this happening? There's 2 big reasons. Number one, I think both these games are going to be close and that the Jets are just going to squeak one out either way. I have them in Week 7 doing this because they're coming off a long bye. they're going to be rested. They're going to have extra time to game plan for the Patriots. And also because the Patriots are going to come off 2 games against the Texans and Cowboys. I think they could be slightly overconfident. I know it's a Bill Belichick team, but once again, could they be looking past the Jets? I think that the Jets make some adjustments from the first game. They're able to contain Mac Jones. And look, the Patriots' offensive line isn't as great as it usually is. And even their playmakers, they're not going to be playmakers that are going to kill the Jets vertically down the field. So I don't see the Patriots making a big play. And I just think Zach Wilson does enough in this game to get the Jets over the hump and beating New England. Week 8 against the Bengals, I have the Jets winning. Look, the Jets' pass rush has taken a hit, but the Bengals might have the worst offensive line in the NFL. I see the Jets getting a lot of pressure on this front, putting Joe Burrow under the gun. And look, Burrow was great last year in spite of the offensive line. I know they got great weapons that can stretch the field, but I just think this is going to be a hard sophomore slump for Burrow because he's not going to get comfortable after this injury. He's not going to be comfortable in this pocket. I feel at this point in the season he's going to get hit a lot. And the other big thing is the front seven for the Bengals. They lost a lot of pieces in the offseason, and they are very young and inexperienced. I can see the Jets' offensive line controlling this in the run and the pass game, and I think the Jets get above the 500 mark, but not for long because starting in Week 9, this is the gauntlet of their schedule for 3 weeks. Starting off, short week, Thursday Night Football at Indianapolis. And look, the big X factor will be if Carson Wentz is healthy at this point. But if he is, this is going to get ugly because not only are the Colts a playoff team, but in my opinion, they're one of the few teams that could win the Super Bowl. Obviously, that's predicated on Carson Wentz's play, but they have one of the top 10 defenses. They have, in my opinion, one of the top 2 offensive lines in the game. They're going to control the Jets' front 4. They're going to control the Jets' offensive line with their pass rush. Short week, this is just a bad matchup all around for the Jets, and I think this could get very ugly on national stage, which is nothing Jet fans want to hear. Week 10 home against the Bills. The Jets coming off the week and a half bye, but still, this Bills team, they're probably one of the top 3 teams to win the Super Bowl this year in terms of their talent. This is their Super Bowl window. They're going to go after it. I think that they're going to get a big win here. And then Week 11 in Miami. Look, I'm not as high on Miami as everyone else is. I actually have the Patriots finishing with a better record than the Dolphins. And I think the Dolphins have just slightly a better roster right now. But the big issue is Tua. I don't love Tua as a quarterback. And at this time, I think Miami is seriously considering a different quarterback. But once again, this game is in New York. Isn't as bad weather as it would be December, January. I actually think the Jets would get an advantage later in the season. But Miami is well coached. They have a good defense that I think is going to pressure Zach Wilson. And more importantly, they got a lot of speed on the outside now that's going to make it tough for these Jets corners to hang with them. I think it's going to be a close game, though, because I don't think Tua is going to be able to put it away. But like the Patriot game, I see the Dolphins making a special team play or a defensive play that turns the tide in this one. Week 12 at Houston, finally a break. I see the Jets getting a win here. Houston is the biggest mess in the NFL. They've announced Tyrod Taylor starting. But I believe at this point in the season, by Week 12, they will be tanking for the first pick in the draft for a couple of reasons. Number one, so they can draft a quarterback. Number two, it'll be easier to justify trading Deshaun Watson in the offseason. And I even see them playing their rookie David Mills at this point just to see what he has. Houston's an absolute mess. The Jets, sick and tired of losing 3 in a row, bounce back, get a big win. Week 13 versus the Eagles, I have them winning here. I think this will be a close game. I think both teams are very similar in terms of their talent. I think the Eagles, though, are a little bit older, so they might be a little bit more banged up in the season. But to me, it comes down to the quarterbacks, and I think Zach Wilson's a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I think that makes the difference. Playing at home against the Eagles, I think that this would be a close game, but a very good one. And most importantly for the Eagles in Week 13, I don't love their head coach. I don't think this team is fully bought in. And at this point in the season, I could see the Eagles being out of playoff contention and maybe not playing as hard for their coach as they would. Because to me, I don't think that coaching hire is going to be long for the Eagles. So that could be another factor that plays into the Jets' hands and them getting a win. Week 14 against the Saints. Look, Saints are the hardest team to figure out in the entire NFL. I mean, we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be at this point, but they just have so much talent on that team. Even though it's at home, which the Jets get an advantage, I just see the Jets being overwhelmed by the talented roster. I mean, I don't think the Saints are going to make the playoffs this year. I think they'll be on the fringe and they'll be competing till the last week. But they just have so many good pass rushers on that team. They have a good defensive line. They have a good offensive line. Even with the quarterback position in question, they face a good offensive coach in Sean Payton. So I have them losing there. Week 15 at Miami. Once again, close game. I think Miami's going to be in the thick of the wild card. They're not going to overlook the Jets. It's a home game in Miami. Look, another close game. I see that another defensive or special teams making the difference for Miami. I think that they still come out of the season knowing that they move on from Tua. I think Zach Wilson outplays to win both games, but the Jets just don't have the firepower in the defensive back end to slow down the Dolphins. Week 16 against the Jaguars, to me, this is Wilson's Super Bowl to prove he's better than Lawrence. Right now, the Jets, to me, they, like earlier in the season when I said with the Week 1 game, I think that the Jets have the better offensive and defensive lines. I think Jaguars' offensive line is terrible. Their defensive line is not great. They've moved a lot of pieces. And look, I think Lawrence is going to be in for a rough year. And at this point, I just seen the Jets having slightly more playmakers on the offense and better trench play on both sides of the football. I see them winning here. It's at home. It's against Jacksonville. You know there's going to be a lot of emotion. And really, I think this will be Zach Wilson's kind of coming out party if there's any doubts, just because he needs to make an impression against Trevor Lawrence. Week 17 versus Tampa, L. Even if they start resting starters in Week 17, they are arguably the most loaded roster up there with Kansas City in the NFL this season. Even if they play the backups, this could get ugly. Tampa's such a good team. This is such a mismatch. And then Week 18, this is going to be my shocker because I have a theory. I have the Jets beating Buffalo. Now, if this is a situation where the Bills are fighting for the number 1 seed in the last week of the season, I could see this being a 7-10 end. But I have the Jets finishing 8-9 because I have a theory. And my theory is this. I believe that the playoff picture, especially now with only one bye in the first round, will be wrapped up at this point. Either the Bills will have the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, or their playoff position will be in a position where they're going to get 2 home games in the first 2 rounds. Because this is the first time we've had a 17-week season, especially with only one bye, I see the Bills resting a lot of starters, especially because Josh Allen, the way he plays, runs the football a lot. He can get banged up throughout the season. They want him fresh and ready to go for the postseason. Even with Mitch Trubisky, I think it'll be a closer game than the Jets would like. But to me, at this point in the season, I just see the Bills have their position wrapped up. They're going to be resting all their starters. They're going to be moving on to already planning for the playoffs. And because of that, the Jets, trying to finish the season on a high note, and after being embarrassed by Tampa, come out, play well, and finish the season at 8-9. And look, Vegas has the Jets at 6.5 wins. I know a lot of people are picking 7-10. Once again, I would be in that. Once again, I think there's a little bit of an asterisk next to this. If Buffalo, like I believe, will have the playoffs wrapped up at that point, the Jets will be 8-9. But if there's any chance for the Bills to take over the number 1 seed at this point, Jets 7-10. I know that's a bit of a cop-out, but it's a big factor, and that's something that you have to consider when doing this. So what are my thoughts going into this Jets season? You know, I'm going to give you my reaction after every week, of course, but to me, this is, once again, it's a rebuilding year. It's a year to grow. And look, Jet fans, I know you're frustrated about the playoff drought, but you want this to be built the right way. And a lot of people are going to make it sound like I'm crazy. Like, how can you be saying that this team's going to go from 2 wins to 8 wins or 7 wins? Here's the thing. To me, the Jets last year even were closer to a 5-6 win team than they were to a 2-win team. And people are like, oh, you're crazy. To me, it's all about the coaching. The Jets had the worst coaching in the NFL last year. And here's 3 prime examples. And when I mention this, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that makes complete sense. If they had a head coach that they believed in and that prepared them well to face a third-string quarterback on a short week on Thursday Night Football and a defensive coordinator that basically wasn't headhunting that night, they should be in the Broncos early in the season. The Raiders game where they called a cover zero blitz. Any coach with a brain would realize that's a stupid idea. That's another win. That's 4 wins right there. And even against the Patriots on Monday Night Football, Jets wouldn't run out the clock. They tried to throw a big play down the field with Joe Flacco that got picked off. Those to me were 3 games that the Jets should have easily won and lost because of horrific. So you look at this year, I think the roster is younger, but I do think that they have improved in a lot of areas, especially on the offensive line and even the defensive line without Lawson this year. Look, there's going to be a lot of growing pains. There's going to be games where I think this team is going to be a scrappy team. I think Robert Saleh is going to have them prepared every week. I don't think they're going to get embarrassed like they did consistently with Adam Gase, but there's going to be games like the Indianapolis game, I think the Buffalo game, where there's just such a disparity in the talent between those two teams that the Jets could get embarrassed. And look, it's because they're facing a superior team. But I don't think that this team is going to be a pushover. I think that this is going to be a team that's going to get a couple wins because they get overlooked on schedules. And I do think that this team, they have a bright future. And I think by the end of the season, we're going to say, okay, they have a lot of good pieces moving forward. But once again, I have them finishing in 4th place. They're in a very good division. You have Buffalo that's in a Super Bowl window. You have the Patriots rebooting. I think they're going to have a great defense this year and sneak into the playoffs and with one of the last wild card spots. I don't see Miami getting into the playoffs, but I have them right on the border. So a game or two flip, they could get in. Once again, I just don't love Tua. I think that they've done a great job of building that roster, but once again, don't love the quarterback. But for Jet fans, I know it's hard, but you have to have lower expectations for this season. If you go into the scene saying, look, I'm going to watch my team fight and compete every week and watch what I believe could be a future star quarterback develop and a young team develop and see the young coach that I hope can be a great coach develop, I think you're going to have a more enjoyable experience. If you're expecting this team to compete for a wild card position or a playoff position, you're going to be very disappointed. The Jets aren't there yet. They're in the beginning of a rebuild that is being done the right way. And look, it's a process, and there's going to be a lot of growing pains, but this could be a pivotal year in turning around the Jets franchise. Want more New York Jets content? Of course you do. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our content this year. Also, make sure to follow because we're going to give reactions after every Jets game this season. You're not going to want to miss any of that. And if you want specific Jets content on this page, hey, give us a like and comment below. Let us know what you would like to see. But until next time, this is Rich Sports Talk.